The flying knee. This wasn't a fluke. This wasn't a spur of the moment decision. This was something that they practiced, that they worked on, that they game planned. That was the game plan. Run at the guy. Stand up, lean on the cage, hands behind your back, go, run, knock him out. I mean, that might be one of the greatest game plans in the history of game plans. And so the brains behind that is Mike Brown. Like I said, he won the 2018 Coach of the Year award at the World MMA Awards. American Top Team was named Team of the Year, also at the World MMA Awards. And he's got a busy rest of the year coming up. I mean, look at some of these names that he has coached. Amanda Nunes, Dustin Poirier, of course, returning to action in September against Khabib Nurmagomedov. Joanna, Colby, I mean, the list goes on and on. Let us not waste any more time and say hello to the Coach of the Year, one Mike Brown, who is joining us right now. I do believe from Atlantic City, because I think he's there for Kayla Harrison's PFL fight. Mike, is that true?
Atlantic City, we're here.
We are here. No rest for you, Mike. When do you get a vacation?
Oh, man, never, man, never.
Never?
What a weekend, huh?
What a weekend. What a weekend. Is
Damn.
that... You've had some great weekends. Is this one at the top of the list?
That's up there. And it was pretty damn big.
Okay, first of all, congratulations on the Coach of the Year award, the Team of the Year award. That started the whole thing for you guys, right? I mean, that happened on Wednesday, so it was a nice way to start the week. What does that mean to you? Like, is this something you typically like to, stay away from the limelight? You're not a big showy kind of guy. What does it mean to you to get that kind of recognition?
I mean, it's cool, but it's what who decides the stuff, who votes on it. I mean, it's good. And it doesn't mean a whole lot, honestly, but it's cool. Nice to have that stuff, but whatever.
You're not going out like popping bottles afterwards.
No.
The fans vote on it, so it's nice recognition from the fans, but I get what you're saying. And then we get to the fight itself. Now, let's start with Jorge, and we just showed the clip right over there of him practicing the flying knee. You guys posted this afterwards. Let me ask you this. When did you come up with the idea that this is the way we should start the fight?
I mean, that wasn't my idea to come up with that. That's like George and Paulino's, or George. I'm not exactly sure whose idea it was, but George told me this is how he wanted to start the fight, a few months ago, or this is what he wants to do. So we're like, ordering some fresh new knee pads, try to start getting that timing for it down, start incorporating that in the sparring. But it's hard. It's tough, though. It's hard to train for because you got to be safe. You don't want to kill your training partners.
Right.
But George has a really good feeling for technique and things like this. So he was doing it as safe as possible, trying to hit it trying to find that timing with his training partners without killing them. That's the tough part, But he was all the way down to the last day drilling that technique. Literally the day of, we were in the cage messing around with it just for him to get his footwork and his timing right, and he delivered, man.
So he comes up to you around a couple months ago and says, I want to start the fight like this, and you just say yes, like, all right, I'm in, let's do it?
Yeah, good idea, yeah. I'm not sure it was Paulino's idea or his idea, but he thought that, dude, if I can't get up from being taken down, then I'm not in this fight anyway. So he believed in his wrestling, and he wanted to bring some heat early and make him pay early. So he wasn't afraid to take some risks.
This might be a hard question to answer, but how many times do you think that you guys drilled that leading up to the fight?
How many reps? I don't know, a lot,
Like over 100?
Yeah, probably over 100, probably.
Wow, that is amazing. And was there ever any point where you guys wavered and said, maybe we don't start like this?
No, I mean, like, whatever happens. I mean, if he misses, it's just like everything. How many jabs do you throw? How many crosses do you throw? How many times did he sprawl? Like, he did everything over 100 times. It's all all little pieces of the puzzle.
In this clip that we're looking at right over here, who's holding the pad?
Paulino Hernandez, that's his striking coach.
Okay, he's holding it. All right, I couldn't tell because it was happening so quickly. So that's amazing. And so when you guys are doing this and you're practicing, it's the game plan, and then you actually see it come to fruition. and you see it land as spectacularly as it does, is it possible to even put into words what is going through your mind?
Because what I knew is how big this was going to be, how everything's been developing.
Right.
You know how great he looked in his last fight, the build up for this fight, and I'm like, I think this might happen right away. I think he might knock him out right away with this thing. And if he does, this is going to be crazy.
Right.
Like I thought it was a good possibility, and just how Askren approaches the fight. Also, it's there's only one move he makes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's diving for the legs and he's bringing his head to his left every time, looking for that double or high crotch. So you knew where he was going, and I mean, and if you looked at how George started his fight with Till, it was similar, where he ran out and he was going to do like this crazy front kick. So it was very similar to that also. But the kick was a little low when you end up hitting Till in the balls, if you remember.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 1 second he had kicked him in the balls and they had to stop already. It was
Right.
kind of weird,
Yes.
weird and wild. But I knew it was going to be big, and man, he landed flush and then cracked him a few more times. It was pretty wild. But this is why George has so many weapons. I think he's got more technique and more weapons than anybody in the game. He drills and drills and drills and drills and works on new technique all the time. He has so many different things he can pull from. He's very good at boxing, very good Muay Thai, very good wrestling, very, very good. He's got Taekwondo techniques. He's got techniques from Jiu-Jitsu. He's got techniques from karate. He's got a lot of different weapons that he can pull from. And it's because he'll put in the time. He loves to work on new technique. He'll do a 3-hour session where 2 hours and 15 minutes of that is drilling. He's really big into that, and that's why I think he's so diverse.
And so, like I said, you've been around this game a long time as a fighter and now as a coach. That feeling to it's not a Hail Mary, so to speak, but you are trying to predict a pretty spectacular turn of events that, has never happened before, a knockout that quick. To see it actually come to fruition, of all the great moments you've had, that has to be up there as one of the greatest, right? As an active fighter, right? Like to see it actually happen.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, and I was even telling a few people about it. People tight to me. Obviously, we don't want to leak it out, but
sure.
Like Dustin had tweeted it. I had talked to him about it, and I was like, check this shit out. This is what he's coming with, man. Look at this.
Oh my God, that is unbelievable.
To see him and dude, Ben Askren is no joke. This guy's 19-0.
Yeah.
And Olympian and 2-time Hodge Trophy winner. This guy is an elite wrestler and a very good fighter. So this is not against some scrub by any means.
How do you explain what's happened to Jorge as of late? Almost 50 fights on his record, not including the backyard brawls, 16 years in this game, and all of a sudden, he's becoming a superstar. He's a gigantic draw. Like the social media numbers, whenever he does anything, people just love him. But he's winning these fights, and he's doing so in spectacular fashion. Again, against Olympians, against Darren Till. Like the last, few months in his life, where has this Masvidal been?
He's always been amazing on the mic and really, really cool personality. I'm really surprised that they never gave him the mic earlier or pushed him, because he's a star, man, without a doubt. And his fighting speaks for itself. But he's a star, very good, really sincere, and a bad dude. The guy's been fighting on the street since he was a teenager, and he's a real fighter. Who's very skilled and game as they come. I'm surprised that he hasn't got the push earlier. But as far as actually performance, I noticed this before the Till fight. I said it to him. I've said it to many people. I don't know what it was. I asked him what he thought it was, and it was he had some personal things going on, some lifestyle changes, or some things where he got some drama out of his life and things like this, where he's more focused. I noticed it really in his conditioning, in the training. Conditioning was a lot better. He was going a lot longer, and I was like, man, your conditioning is much better than before. What's going on? And he's like, man, I got rid of all the drama. My head is clear, and I noticed it. I noticed it tremendously before the Till fight, and I mean, I didn't know if that was going to translate to anything. Maybe it was coincidence, whatever. But I did notice a big difference, you know, in his focus and particularly his conditioning. And so far, so good.
It's amazing because he kind of used to be the king of like the split decision, right? Where it was these really close fights against like Iaquinta and Benson Henderson, all the Damian Maia, and even the Thompson fight, like all these close fights. But now he's just coming out looking like a killer. So it's just amazing to see him get over that hump and see all these people get behind him and get these finishes. And now it seems like he's on the cusp of a title shot, but we've got a situation on our hands here, Mike. What are we going to do between him and Colby? It looks like it's coming down to a potential 2-horse race. What are you guys going to do about that?
I have no idea. We'll wait to see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but it would be a nice problem to have. Yeah, both two amazing fighters. And I mean, if it's for the belt, it's for the belt. It's a lot of money. You know, that's life-changing money. That's money for their family, for their kids, for the next generation even. But we'll cross that when we get there. And they're both deserving and, without a doubt, world-class badasses.
Will you corner Colby on August 3rd?
I'm not certain right now. I don't know yet. I've got a bunch of fights coming up, and I have every one so far. So, but I'm not certain.
Okay,
he hasn't talked to me about that, about going out with him.
If Masvidal fights Colby, would you corner Masvidal?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we cross that bridge when it comes, but that would. I'm not certain what's going to happen if that ever happens. I mean, first, you know, I think one of them gets the belt, and then we see. I think if they fight, it would only be for a belt.
Right,
you know?
right. Do you have any issues with the punches after he's out?
No, not really, because I mean, look at what Askren did in the Robbie fight. He looked like he was he was almost crushed in that, and he came back and won. You got to make sure that guy doesn't get back up.
Mm-hmm.
He took some really big shots. I thought he was done in the Robbie fight, and he came back and won. Right? I mean,
right.
It wasn't far off from that. I mean, in the spur of the moment, you're reacting so quickly. It's you got to you just keep hitting them and until the ref pulls you off. Or sometimes those guys, they look dazed and confused. Next thing you know, he's in on your leg, and now you're on your ass. Next thing you know, he's got a bulldog choke. So I mean, you just keep swinging until the ref stops you.
All right, so now we have that situation that's going to play out. You also have the Amanda Nunes situation that is blossoming in front of our eyes as well. Someone who is finally getting this respect. I mean, if anyone, like I said, like I don't know how anyone can argue against her being the greatest female fighter of all time. And you guys are on a roll. And I've heard Dan Lambert say this multiple times. Kyoji Horiguchi is the best fighter at ATT. How do you pick one? Like Amanda is in the conversation for best fighter, period, male or female. Jorge doing his thing, Colby doing his thing, Kyoji doing his thing. How can you say that Kyoji is the best fighter at ATT? Do you agree with that statement?
Well, you can't ever pick one. That's like the old pound for pound dilemma. You know, you can never know. Is Batman tougher than Superman? This is like you can never prove it. So there's really no use in arguing. You know, and you also don't want to pick your favorite kid either, right? So. Right. It's always apples and oranges. You don't want to pick one, but Kyoji Horiguchi is definitely no joke. I will say he puts in more volume than anybody in the gym. Probably trains the most. You know, like I'm not sure how his body can handle it, but he puts in a lot of work, and he's freaky good. You know, I would really love to see him get that matchup with Henry or with DJ, but he's really a special guy. I think him beating Caldwell now twice is very impressive. I think stylistically that might have been the toughest match for him at 135 or 125 because he's a really big guy, and he's also very tough on top and long. Henry has better wrestling credentials, but as far as like on top ability to ride somebody, I would have to give that to Caldwell in that weight class. You know, NCAA champion, very tall, very long, tough to get away from if that guy's on top of you. So that's a very impressive victory for Horiguchi. Two
Have
times.
they talked to you guys about him potentially fighting John Lineker, who was just released?
And I haven't heard that.
Okay.
Kyoji's scheduled now to fight Kai Asakura in maybe a month or so in
Yeah.
Japan.
Right.
He's busy.
Yes. You're as I mentioned, you're in Atlantic City for Kayla Harrison. I wanted to ask you about her as well because the last time we saw her, she was dominant. She won via decision, but she left the cage bawling, crying because she felt like I don't know. Explain to me why she was crying. I've never seen someone cry that much after a win. How do you explain this?
These are the freaks of the freaks. These athletes put these are the best of the best. They put crazy pressure on themselves for perfection. She really holds herself to a high standard, and I mean, I thought it was a solid performance. But she wants perfection, and if she doesn't feel the way she wants to feel in the fight, she's unhappy with herself. I thought it was good. We got a last minute change. We got the opponent maybe a week before, a little tougher than who we had. That doesn't really matter, but the girl was tough. She had only 2 losses before that. Multiple time UFC veteran, only had lost to UFC champions. So it was a solid girl. Not everybody you'll be able to put away, and she was just surviving and gave Kayla a chance to feel what it feels like to go 3 rounds. I thought that's good experience. But I was happy with it. But I know Kayla puts a lot of pressure on herself.
Yeah, and she returns action this Thursday at PFL. I think it's 5 as they return to ESPN. So I'm looking forward to seeing her back, and hopefully she doesn't put that kind of pressure. But again, as you said, that's what makes her so special. You also have Dustin Poirier coming up in September in the biggest fight of his life against Khabib in Abu Dhabi. How do you balance? So like here, we just saw you in Vegas. Now you're in Atlantic City. You've got a full schedule. You've got Kyoji in Japan. How do you balance doing all of that? But also you've got guys like Dustin who have the biggest fights of their life against, guys who have never, like Khabib has lost like 2 rounds in his life. How do you balance the travel, but also being in the gym as you're helping to prepare these guys for these fights?
Yeah, it's a bit much. I am traveling a little too much right now. But before his fight, I'll go to Andre's fight. I'll go out late for that, Andre Arlovsky. Then I'll have Kyoji. I'll have 2 more trips before Dustin's fight. So I'll be at the gym, for 8 of the next 10 weeks or something like that. So I'll be there the majority of the time, but I will be traveling some. Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but we have a massive coaching staff and a lot of great coaches there to help him. Mo Lawal, Steve Mako, there to help him with the wrestling. With this Khabib fight, but Dia Davis, he's got many coaches. He's got a lot of help. We're an arm. It's an army,
Yes.
We got a bunch of great coaches and a bunch of great training partners. Most of these fighters could be coaches in any gym in the world. So you're not just learning and training with the coaches; it's the fighters as well.
I love the addition of Mo Lawal to the coaching staff there at ATT. I think he's one of the smartest fighters now, coaches in the game. So I'm really curious to see who he starts to develop as well. I have a feeling you are relishing the opportunity to figure out the puzzle that is Khabib Nurmagomedov. Like I'm sure you're already thinking about that, right? As training camp is about to start.
100%. But yeah, Mo is a huge addition to the team. Pitbull also. I think the team is already like really rocking and rolling, but I think these 2 additions are really big. Both have a deep, a lot of knowledge in wrestling, striking, MMA. So I think the team's only going to get better. And yeah, I'm excited about the Khabib fight. It's an interesting matchup. And if you look at it, I think Kyoji just beat, I thought, the best, perhaps the best wrestler in his division, besides Henry. But the guy who's maybe the best top guy, best rider, might be Darian Caldwell. And now Masvidal just beat the best wrestler in the welterweight division, and I feel like now we take on the best welterweight in the lightweight division. We'll see if we can climb that mountain. So it'll be cool if we can you know, hit the trifecta.
Two more quick things. How do you feel about Joanna going back down to 115? And by the way, one of my favorite subtle things in the game is how she always refers to you as Mikey Brown. I like that. How do you feel about her going
I
down
get
to
called a lot of
115 to fight Michelle Watterson?
You know, I like her better at 25 just for health reasons, you
Yeah.
know, because I know she kills herself to make 15. I know she can do it. She's got a really strong mind and can make any weight that she wants to make. But is it her optimal weight? You know, I'm not certain. I think 25, she's probably the most healthy. It's probably better for her body, long-term health, things like this. But I do believe in her, and I think that she's, you know, a superb, excellent, great fighter. And I like the matchup, and I'm confident in her. You know, I think that she'll still become champion again at 115. Although I think 125 is best for her health.
Yeah. I was a little surprised to hear that as well, but it's a great matchup. I'm looking forward to it. That's scheduled for October 12th. How many times have you seen the Masvidal knockout?
A lot.
How many times have you watched it?
A lot. I don't know. 100.
Do you learn something new every time you watch it, or are you just watching it just to revel in it?
No, I'm not even. You know, you're flicking through social media and it's 5 seconds, so it's everywhere. You can't help it. You know,
it's unbelievable.
It's all over the place.
The celebration afterwards. How does he do it? I don't know how he does it. Do you predict his next fight is for the belt?
I'm not certain. I have no idea what direction they're going to go in, you know.
Yeah.
I thought Colby was going to get it. You know, I thought Colby was the man. I thought Colby was 100%. And then they kind of pulled it from him, you know.
Right.
Now Colby's got Robbie, you know. I never know what they're going to do. And sometimes it's just what they need next. Oh, hey, we need to fill a spot right here.
Right.
We need these guys to fight. They'll throw a bunch of money at them, and that's the new fight, whether it's a title or not, you know. So who knows where they're going with that stuff. I'm not certain.
All right. Well, for now, enjoy the victories. Enjoy the big week in Las Vegas. I know Thiago Santos is sort of like an honorary member or sort of a half member of ATT. I thought he fought valiantly. I thought that was a great performance out of him. And you know, I think there are some people who actually believe he won that fight 3-2, right? So it was a great night for you guys. And good luck to Kayla and the team on Thursday as well. Appreciate you doing this, Mike. Always great to pick your brain.
Thanks so much.
Hello, everyone. It's Ariel Helwani. I just came here to thank you for watching our ESPN YouTube channel. It's the best. You know what else is the best? The ESPN app. You can get highlights, analysis, all that stuff and more. And if you want premium content and live streaming sports, there's only one place for all of that. It's ESPN Plus.